Nearly 2 years since Flint switched its water source from Detroit to the Flint River, the water crisis drags on, but so does the cost of the investigation. Governor Snyder has made the decision to spend more than $1 million on outside legal counsel.
And that includes a top-notch criminal defense attorney who will receive $800,000. Well, tonight, Defender Kevin Dietz reports a group of local defense attorneys is questioning this decision to make taxpayers foot the bill.
Governor Rick Snyder is adamant that he did not commit any crimes in the Flint water crisis, which has some wondering out loud why he hired a top criminal defense attorney and why taxpayers are picking up the bill. Governor Rick Snyder is on a spending spree with your money, hiring 2 private attorneys for a whopping $1.2 million.
So I got to ask you then, why are we funding the possible criminal problems of a billionaire?
The new attorneys are in addition to the dozens of attorneys at the governor's disposal through his state office and the attorney general's office. $400,000 is going to civil attorney Eugene Draker, and $800,000 is going to criminal defense expert Brian Lennon, who specializes in defending white-collar crimes. The fact taxpayers are paying for it has some local criminal defense attorneys crying foul.
Every penny of that money should be going to help the people of Flint.
3 local criminal defense attorneys came together to call out the governor, insisting it's not about politics, it's about ability to pay, saying only people who cannot afford a lawyer should be using tax dollars to pay for legal fees. Governor Snyder's net worth is estimated over $200 million. Flint residents, along with the rest of the state's taxpayers, are paying for his legal fees.
What they shouldn't be expected to do is to pay the lawyer fees for the person who may have caused the problem. That is absurd.
The governor's spokesperson says the private attorneys are to help with the massive number of requests for documents, insisting the state's staff attorneys cannot keep up. In a written statement saying, the money is being used to pay the cost of outside counsel that is assisting the governor's office and the attorney general's office in processing massive quantities of emails and documents related to the Flint water crisis that we are releasing in the interest of transparency and to be responsive to investigations and court cases. They're insisting the $800,000 to a top criminal defense attorney is not to defend the governor in criminal charges, writing, there are no criminal charges the governor needs to defend himself against because he didn't do anything criminal. Attorney James Burdick is skeptical.
The governor has already had a review by employees of the governor's staff,
suggesting the high-priced private criminal defense attorney is looking at emails to protect the governor from future charges.
But what was happening there, so it becomes a question of whether it's nonfeasance, misfeasance, or malfeasance.
Attorney Shannon Marie Smith says the governor's private attorneys and their assistants are being paid top dollar, not at rates of court-appointed attorneys.
And we're seeing a law firm that has paralegals making more per hour than lawyers who are appointed throughout the state.
David Lee says a state board never should have approved the $1.2 million contracts, and he wants the money returned.
Give that $1.2 million back and pay for your own legal fees. It's that simple.
That's not likely to happen. The governor's spokesperson telling us the governor made the decision and doesn't need anyone's approval, writing, the state administrative board did not approve the contracts as state law does not require such approval. The governor's office notified the administrative board of the contracts in the spirit of transparency, not to seek their approval. The governor's office also confirming that state taxpayers will pay for several members of the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality to have outside counsel. Kevin Dietz, Defenders.